So our architecture here setup is actually done in just one region, which is the AP Southeast one in Singapore. So we can see from the diagram here, right, there are actually two AZs being implemented, A and B, and there is also two public subnets and followed by 4 private subnets. So the internet gateway actually provides so-called internet access to allow outside customers to be able to access the EC2 web instances. And we also have this NAT gateway, right? It's actually meant for the private subnets to be able to do patching and able to get the data, the patch from the internet to download to so-called ensure that the system instances are properly patched so that they meet up with the security requirements. As we know that EC2 instances are not managed services, so all patching must be done by the customers themselves. So next we can see that there's also a Bastion host, right? Bastion host is actually a jump server which enables the IT staff to so-called remote login into the Bastion host. Then they will be able to perform SSH as well they will be able to so-called remote access into this Bastion host. Then they perform so-called remote desktop to access the particular Windows systems. So next we will move on to talk about this CrowdTrail and CrowdWatch. CrowdWatch is essentially meant to so-called archive, collect the so-called system logs, Windows system logs, which include the security logs as well, so that the systems are well tracked. If there's any so-called any resource utilization exceed the requirements, the CrowdWatch will be able to throw out the alerts. And we also have this CrowdTrail, right? Initially we did not implement CrowdTrail, but if we examine the requirement closely, right, it wanted so-called maximum security in the sense that all the so-called users are being audited their activity. So that will mean that all the API activities, right, which involves perhaps removing the EC2 itself by the admin, right, will all be tracked by CrowdTrail. That also includes if someone created any EC2 instances, right, the CrowdTrail will know. And all these logs so-called created by CrowdWatch and CrowdTrail will actually be backed up in the so-called Amazon S3. So next we will see this Amazon Route 53, right? This is actually implemented to allow the users to so-called use the so-called domain name to actually access the particular instances, which is the so-called web tier elastic load balancer, so that they can so-called access the web page services. So next we see that there's also due to the stringent requirements for this assignment, right, we also have so-called AWS backup embrace and AWS Valve. So any AWS instances and so-called services that will be able to be backed up by this so-called AWS backup. Each is actually a regional service. So all these backups can actually be so-called archived into the backup valve as well. Backup valve is actually able to support cross-region, but not for the AWS backup itself, which only support a particular region, and the region must have the AWS backup services as well provided. So for CrowdWatch and CrowdTrail as well, right, all their features are mostly at the regional base. So that's why they are being placed so-called in the so-called region box to so-called archive the logs and so-called activity information of our particular VPC and the AZs. So next I would like to so-called dive into this EC2 instant web server instance, right? There's actually it's actually made up of 2 EC2 web instance in each particular public subnet. So you can see that there's actually two instances over here and followed by two instances over here. So there's a total of a minimum of 4 instances running concurrently, and it is able to scale up to a total of 8 instances with the implementation of auto scaling. So the reason why we implement a total of 2 plus 2 equals to 4 as minimum instances is due to the so-called the requirements being stated by reference property, where they want to support rapid growth. Otherwise, if rapid growth is not needed, we probably just implemented one EC web instances at each AZ. However, we also have to take note that having two EC2 instances within a particular so-called AZ, right, will actually ensure that if one down, the other one could still work. Anyway, we also have so-called web auto scaling in place. So if any of the instances is down, it is able to spin up almost immediately to support the infrastructure and the requirements. So next, again, for the app tier, right, we also use 2 app instance per AZ. So there's a total of 2 plus 2, which is 4 instances based on these 2 AZ. And we also, it is able to scale up to 8 instances total. So this is to ensure that we are able to support dynamic so-called growth due to seasonal requirements. Like for example, a lot of customer like to do shopping or whatever activity, and there's a lot of traffic as well. Then next, we also have instead of having one database, we have 2 databases in each AZ. So one of them will be the primary and the other one will be the secondary, which would enable us to provide failover as well. So we can also see that as this RDS database is managed services, we do not have this so-called, we do not need to purposely implement this EBS, elastic block storage, to do the so-called snapshot of the instances. Whereas for all these which is not so-called managed services, we would have to use this EBS for us to so-called do snapshots and to do some form of backup for the volumes. So apart from that, this is all we have for now. So I want to talk about next is some of the so-called assumptions that we make for this question, right? For talking about AZ itself, right, the Singapore region is actually able to support up to 3 AZs. So having a 3 AZ would definitely have its advantage in the sense that the fault tolerance level would definitely be higher. So the ELB will not, ELB itself, right, is a managed service by AWS. So it is quite so-called robust services. So the chances of it going down is low. Nevertheless, if one wants to play it safe, you can implement 3 AZ within the Singapore region, so that if in the event one of the elastic load balancer is down, right, you will still be able to support higher fault tolerance. So next we also want to say that since we are operating at a single region, right, we need to be aware that other regions may have other so-called regional security framework. So because in this case we are being given the requirement that the PDPA is what we need to so-called follow, right? So other regions may have other requirements, so that might make it not as simple as able to scale immediately to other regions. We also need to take care of other regions' specific requirements. So if we talk about some of the assumptions we make, right, we ignore other regions' requirements. So in this case, if other regions were to do any shopping with a receipt, they might have to access from their country and upload this information to the systems in the Singapore region at this current juncture. So next we would want to talk about also the IMA is actually the role-based access control, right? We actually try our best to so-called implement the least privilege for the permissions, and also multi-factor authentication is actually enforced on the users, which are the sysadmin and the DB admin. For the monitoring group, right, we do not, which they only have read access to, for example, the S3, etc., or CrowdWatch. For this group of monitoring group, we do not implement multi-factor authentication. Of course, if we want to be very secure, we can choose to enable multi-factor authentication as well. But apart from that, the sysadmin group and the database admin group are in fact having multi-factor authentication, as they have more access rights to the so-called infrastructure and services. So next, what we want to talk about is that we also have this to CrowdWatch and CrowdTrail logs are actually integrated with Amazon S3, in this case to so-called archive the logs, right? This is because we want to keep the logs for up to a number of years. Else, only for CrowdTrail that you will need the Amazon S3 services, whereas for CrowdWatch, it is able to store its own logs as well without the so-called S3, Amazon S3. So I would like to move on also to talk about, let me see, okay, all these naming conventions, right? For example, public subnet is called web tier -AZ1, web tier -AZ2, and for the SG web ELB, right, we call it web tier ELB. So all the naming conventions will strictly follow what we fill in on the table. So for this, for the instances, right, let's say we have this web instances, app instances. For the EC2 web instances, we actually implement with the size of T3 medium, right? This is we actually do a migration from the physical infra, so we strictly follow the requirements of where they need 2 CPUs and 4 GB of memory. So T3 medium might be ideal in this case to support the infrastructure. As for the app instances, right, since they require 4 CPUs and 16 GB memory, we actually choose the T3X large in this case, and both are all using Microsoft Windows 2022. So next we want to talk about the database itself, right? We are actually using the T3.2X large instances, which are able to support 8 CPUs and 32 GB of memory.